Hello and welcome to the introduction to Stage 6 in Cambridge Latin, the stage entitled 1felix. 1felix, we're going to find out, is a name. Stage 6 especially deals with the idea of tense. You probably remember from your English classes that English really has two ways of dealing with things that happen right now and things that happened previously. So English has a present tense and English has a past tense. The present tense talks about things happening right now. The past tense talks about things that happened yesterday or before now. So in the present tense, we say things like he is walking or he walks. The past telling us that this has already happened, we would say he was walking or sometimes he walked. Latin has three ways of doing this. For Latin, there's a present tense, there's something called the perfect tense, and then there's the imperfect tense. The present tense talks about things that are happening right now. So he is walking. The imperfect tense tells us about things that started happening before and haven't quite finished yet, and that's the marker for the imperfect. We often use things like was doing something, like, so he was walking. He was walking and then something interrupted him. He didn't get to keep doing it, or he was walking and he's continuing to do this. The perfect tense tells us whatever he did, it's finished now. So in the perfect tense, we would say he walked. So the way to think about this is to treat the perfect tense often as a past tense. In Latin, it's often easy to see these. So in the present tense, we have ambulat. The imperfect is ambulabat. And the perfect is ambulavit. So you see that very often this BA is a marker for the imperfect. If I see that BA, this is probably in the imperfect tense. And again, for the imperfect, we're especially talking about things that started but haven't really finished. So sometimes the imperfect will say, he tried to walk, or he used to walk. Sometimes we'll just use a simple past, he walked, or he was walking. Remember, the imperfect really isn't telling us when something happened. It's that the action that started isn't perfectus. It's not complete yet. The marker for the perfect tense is often this V. If you see a V, it's probably in the perfect tense. And again, if the imperfect is telling us the action was started but isn't quite complete, you can probably guess that the perfect tense is telling us the action has been completed. So let's practice. Let's practice by looking at page 70 and 71 in your textbook. So there you'll see the sententiae, and we'll just start looking at these to practice them. That first sentence says, servi per viam ambulabant. We can see that this verb, ambulabant, that's in the imperfect tense. So we would say something like, slaves were walking on the road. So in the imperfect, they started walking, they're continuing their walking, they haven't finished walking on the road. That second picture, we see the Latin says, canis subito latravit. A dog suddenly barked. Again, we see that verb, latravit, that is in the perfect. The dog barked, and then he stopped. Trace. Grumio canem timebat. Grumio was afraid of the dog. So here we see that we've translated this as if it was a past tense, but we see the verb in Latin is actually an imperfect. Grumio was afraid, and he continues to be afraid of the dog, is the idea there. Quattuor. Pestis clamavit cacus. Pest, shouted the cook. quinque clemens erat fortis. Clemens was brave, but again, we see erat is in the imperfect. He began to be brave, he continued to be brave as he saw that dog. Sakes, though, says, sed canis clementem superavit. Clemens erat fortis, said, but the dog overcame Clemens. There again, we see that superavit is in the perfect. He completed this action. You may continue with that translation. Also, for next time, you should finish translating pages 70 to 71. You should also do the Poeta et Canis worksheet that's attached on the lesson in Moodle. And just as a reminder, there is a vocab quiz on Tuesday, September 3rd. Let me know if you have any questions.